Listen up. I'm going to tell you something nobody else will. Something that's going to hurt before it heals you. You won't heal overnight. You won't wake up tomorrow and suddenly be whole again. You won't magically forget the pain, the betrayal, the loss, the disappointment that's been eating at you. You won't flip a switch and become the person you were before life knocked you down. But here's what you will do. You'll show up. Everyone's selling you the same lie. Just think positive. Good vibes only. Everything happens for a reason. You'll get over it. They want you to put on a mask. Pretend you're fine. Act like healing is as simple as choosing to be happy. But that's not healing, that's hiding. Real healing is messy. It's uncomfortable. It's showing up when you don't want to. When your chest feels heavy. When getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. When the world feels too bright, too loud, too much. Real healing is doing the work when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, when progress feels so slow you wonder if you're moving at all. You know what broken people do? They quit. They disappear. They let the pain become their identity. They sit in the darkness and convince themselves they belong there. But you're not broken. You're healing. And there's a difference. Broken people make excuses. Healing people make efforts. Broken people avoid the work. Healing people embrace it. Broken people wait for motivation. Healing people create momentum. Every morning you wake up and choose to face another day. You're not broken. You're in the process of becoming whole. You're in the fight of your life, and every day you don't quit, you're winning. They don't tell you that healing isn't linear. One day you feel strong, unstoppable, like you've conquered the world. The next day you're crying in your car before work. That's not failure, that's healing. They don't tell you that some days showing up means staying in bed, but choosing to eat something. Some days, showing up means taking a shower when you don't want to. Some days, showing up means just breathing through the pain instead of numbing it. They don't tell you that healing happens in the smallest moments, in choosing to respond instead of react, in setting a boundary, in saying no when you mean no, in asking for help when you need it. But here's what they really don't tell you. Healing is the most courageous thing you'll ever do, because it requires you to feel everything you've been avoiding, to face everything you've been running from, to become someone you've never been before. People will rush your process. They'll get uncomfortable with your healing because it reminds them of their own unhealed wounds. They'll tell you to move on or get over it because your growth threatens their comfort zone. Let them be uncomfortable. Your healing isn't their business. They'll say you're taking too long. You're being dramatic. You're dwelling on the past. They don't understand that healing isn't about time. It's about doing the work. And the work takes as long as it takes. Some people heal in months. Some people heal in years. Some people spend their whole lives learning how to be whole. There's no timeline on becoming the person you're meant to be. The only timeline that matters is yours. The only pace that matters is the one that allows you to actually heal, not just cover up the wounds. Every single day you're in a battle between who you were and who you're becoming. Between your old patterns and new possibilities. Between giving up and showing up. Some days, the old you wins. You fall back into old habits. You react instead of respond. You choose the familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. That's not failure. That's human. But the next day, you show up again. You try again. You choose again. Because healing isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. You don't heal by avoiding triggers. You heal by learning how to respond to them differently. You don't heal by pretending nothing happened. You heal by integrating what happened into your story without letting it become your whole story. You think you're weak because you're struggling. You think you're failing because you're not where you want to be yet. But let me tell you something about strength. Strength isn't never falling down. Strength is getting back up every time you fall. Strength isn't never feeling pain. Strength is feeling it and choosing to heal anyway. Strength isn't having all the answers. Strength is asking the right questions. You're stronger than you know, because weak people don't choose to heal. They choose to stay broken. They choose to blame. They choose to remain victims of their circumstances. But you chose differently. You chose the harder path. The path that requires you to take responsibility for your healing. The path that demands you become someone new. Healing will change you. It will change how you see the world, how you relate to people, what you tolerate and what you won't. The person you become through healing won't be the same person who got hurt. Some people won't like the healed version of you. They'll miss the broken version that was easier to control, easier to manipulate, easier to predict. They'll try to pull you back into old patterns because your growth threatens their comfort. Let them miss you. Your healing is more important than their comfort. Healing will make you less available for drama, less willing to people please, less tolerant of disrespect, more boundaried, more intentional, more selective about who gets access to your energy. This isn't you becoming mean. This is you becoming whole. There will be days when you feel like you're going backward, when the same triggers hit the same way, when you react the same way you always have, when it feels like all your work was for nothing. Those are the most important days, because that's when you prove to yourself that you're committed to the process, not just the results. Progress isn't always visible. Sometimes progress is choosing not to send that text. Sometimes progress is feeling the anger without acting on it. Sometimes progress is recognizing a pattern even if you can't break it yet. Sometimes progress is just showing up when every fiber of your being wants to disappear. They see you going to therapy and think you're getting fixed like a broken machine. They don't see you sitting in that chair, facing demons you've been running from for years. They don't see the courage it takes to be vulnerable with a stranger, to admit you don't have it all together. They see you setting boundaries and think you're being difficult. They don't see the years of saying yes when you meant no. They don't see the self-respect you're building one boundary at a time. They see you alone and think you're lonely. They don't see you choosing solitude over toxic company. They don't see you learning to enjoy your own presence. They don't see you becoming your own best friend. Healing requires you to let go of who you were, even the parts of your identity that were built around your pain, your trauma, your struggle. And that's terrifying. Who are you without your story of being abandoned? Who are you without your history of being betrayed? Who are you without the familiar role of being the victim, the savior, the one who always puts others first? Healing asks you to find out, to discover who you are beneath all the armor, beneath all the coping mechanisms, beneath all the ways you learn to survive. And that person is worth fighting for. That person is worth showing up for. That person is worth every difficult day, every uncomfortable conversation, every moment of uncertainty. You think healing has to look dramatic, like some movie montage where everything changes overnight, but real healing happens in the mundane moments. It's choosing water over wine when you're stressed. It's going to bed at a reasonable hour instead of scrolling until 2 a.m. It's journaling for 5 minutes instead of bottling everything up. It's saying, I need to think about that, instead of immediately saying yes. It's walking away from conversations that drain you, It's investing in relationships that fill you up. Each small choice compounds. Each boundary reinforces your self-worth. Each moment of self-care tells your nervous system that you're safe, that you matter, that you're worth protecting. The hardest part about healing isn't the work itself. It's how lonely it can get. Because as you change, you outgrow people. Situations that used to be normal become intolerable. Conversations that used to engage you become draining. You'll find yourself with fewer friends but deeper connections. Less drama but more peace. Smaller circles but bigger impact. This isn't a loss. This is an upgrade. Quality over quantity. Depth over surface. Authenticity over performance. The right people will celebrate your growth. They'll support your boundaries. They'll encourage your healing even when it's inconvenient for them. The wrong people will resist your growth. They'll test your boundaries. They'll make you feel guilty for changing. Choose yourself anyway. And then one day, something shifts. You catch yourself responding differently to a situation that used to trigger you. You notice you're no longer anxious about something that used to consume you. You realize you haven't thought about that person who hurt you in weeks. These breakthrough moments don't happen overnight. They happen because you've been showing up, day after day, week after week, month after month. You've been doing the work when nobody was watching. You've been choosing growth over comfort. You've been investing in yourself when it would have been easier to give up. The healed version of you isn't the person you were before you got hurt. It's someone entirely new. Someone who has faced pain and transformed it into power. Someone who has learned to love themselves fiercely. Someone who knows their worth and won't settle for less. This person has scars, but they're not defined by them. This person has been broken, but they've learned how to put themselves back together. This person has experienced betrayal, but they haven't become bitter. They've become bounded. This person doesn't avoid pain. They walk through it. They don't pretend to be perfect. They embrace their humanity. They don't need everyone to like them. They like themselves. So here's what I need you to understand. Healing is a daily commitment. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's a way of living. Every morning you wake up and choose healing over hiding, growth over comfort, truth over convenience. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. On other days you'll question everything. Both are part of the process. The key is showing up regardless of how you feel. Feelings are temporary, but the work you do is permanent. You show up when you don't want to. You show up when it's hard. You show up when progress feels slow. You show up when nobody's watching. Because every time you show up, you're voting for the person you're becoming. You're investing in your future self. You're proving that you're worth the effort. So here's what I need you to understand. Healing is a daily commitment. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's a way of living. Every morning you wake up and choose healing over hiding, growth over comfort, truth over convenience. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. On other days you'll question everything. Both are part of the process. The key is showing up regardless of how you feel. Feelings are temporary, but the work you do is permanent. You show up when you don't want to. You show up when it's hard. You show up when progress feels slow. You show up when nobody's watching. Because every time you show up, you're voting for the person you're becoming. You're investing in your future self. You're proving that you're worth the effort. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Time plus intentional action heals wounds. Time plus therapy heals wounds. Time plus boundaries heals wounds. Time plus self-compassion heals wounds. Just existing isn't enough. Just surviving isn't enough. You have to actively participate in your healing. You have to show up to therapy even when you don't want to talk. You have to do the journaling even when the words don't come. You have to set the boundary even when it feels uncomfortable. You have to choose healing every single day until choosing healing becomes who you are. You won't heal overnight. That's not how healing works. That's not how growth works. That's not how becoming works. But you will heal. One day at a time, one choice at a time, one moment of showing up at a time. And when you do, when you look back and realize you become someone you never thought possible, you'll understand why it had to take time, why it had to be hard, why it had to require everything you had. Because the person you become through healing isn't just healed. They're unbreakable. They're authentic. They're free. And that person was worth every difficult day, every uncomfortable conversation, every moment of uncertainty. That person was worth showing up for. So tomorrow morning when that alarm goes off and you don't want to face another day, remember this. You're not just surviving, you're healing. You're not just existing, you're becoming. And the world needs the person you're becoming. Show up for that person. They're counting on you. If this message resonated with you, if you made it all the way to the end, you're already showing up. Drop a comment and let me know. What's one way you're going to show up for your healing tomorrow? Your future self is waiting for your answer.